The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent along with Addie Rich. Our podcast is dedicated to amplifying the voices of the disability community. I'm a polio survivor and Addie is...
full of CP. I don't know. No, I have cerebral palsy.
Well, let me start by asking, how was your week?
It was good. It was very good. It's the beginning of the month and the end of the quarter, which if anybody in the financial world knows, that's a lot of cleanup work and a lot of collating paperwork to make your accountants happy. But I was very happy to tootle along, to know what I was to do every day. We've established I'm kind of type A and I like to know what's going on. So yeah, give me a routine and I will execute.
So have you gotten out to the camper recently?
I have not. We have tenants there. Oh my gosh, I know what we did last week. I had my first physical therapy session with Jeff.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I have muscles I never knew I had. I literally was sore for like 3 days after. Jeff is amazing though. Like if you're looking for somebody to help you, again, like you say, when we talk about people who specifically know you and know your kind of disorder or your difference and that they actually cater to it, because the difference in experience from going to the physical therapy place that sucked it to being with him for an hour, even though we were doing it on Zoom, it was amazing. We had, he has cameras in like his gym space. And so he demonstrates like what you need to do. And we used a folding chair and we used like where I store all my glasses. Thank God nothing fell on me. But you're doing a lot of specific exercise that works on balance and mobility and things. And
that's what you were looking for.
It's 100% what I was looking for. And it didn't feel like excruciatingly hard when we did it, but boy, the next morning my whole body was like, hello!
Yeah.
For 2 days, I needed to drink lots of water, and I immediately almost was going to call you and be like, you need to sign up with Jeff.
Jeff Whittle, and that is Silver Strong, and that's the episode that we ran on September 2nd, if you want to check that out and listen to that. And he does it, he's got clients around the world. So, wherever you are, he can accommodate you too if it's something that you're looking for.
Very, very thorough, very, very engaging. There wasn't a point where he said, do 10 of those, I'll be right back.
Yeah. It's one-on-one, right?
Yes, it's one-on-one. Yeah. But that was the joke because that's how the other place was. So when I was with him, I'm like, are you going to stay here? You need to go do something. He was laughing because I bitched about that in his episode. So we had a great time together. I got very sweaty. And the next day I woke up and was sure that I was in the wrong body. So how about you?
Good. Oh, always busy. Had the pantry, and that was good. We didn't have, I don't know if I mentioned it the week before or a couple of weeks ago, the refrigerator went out. Did I tell you that? The electricity went out in the pantry, and we have a freezer and a refrigerator in there, and it's full of eggs, milk. We had just bought a bunch of chicken to hand out for that Thursday. And generally somebody is there, almost daily, to help somebody out, one of the veterans in the Veterans Village. And just this week, for whatever reason, nobody had gone by for that 2 or 3 days. It was 105. And so actually when our executive director, when she got there that morning and opened it, it's like a garage with a roll-up door. And she opened it and she had to go around the corner and throw up. It's just the smell was so they said we had some smoked turkeys in there. There were probably 12 pounds.
No.
And they had just, one of the guys was saying they had just kind of like liquefied. Just the meat had rotten. And so they got busy and got that all cleaned up. And then one of our volunteers ran out and got some replacement chicken and so we were able to continue that. This week, uneventful, just we kind of had a breakfast kind of theme. We kind of do a theme each week, so that went very well.
Nice.
And then with the Volunteers for Veterans, I went to an event on Friday with Feeding America. And so they're, I think this is my my speculation there. Things have slowed down as far as the people that are donating either product or money. And so we're kind of starting this initiative that to collaborate between people, that kind of thing. So we kind of broke out on our tables and talked about first of all, identifying the first out of a list of like 20 things, what are the top 5 that we need to address. And then once we kind of went around the room and picked out what the top 5 were for the whole room, then we addressed those, each one individually at our table, and what the action points for them would be and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're kind of starting to make sure that we can fill that gap, even though that there's a shortage now of some of the donations. We can fill that gap and still serve, our communities. Yeah. So that was good. And then just, hung out over the weekend, watched a lot of football and, and NASCAR and just relaxed.
The season.
Yeah, it is the season. So a good one. Want to thank Bob Millsap for coming on last week and sharing his story, a powerful one. And I can see by the way people are reacting to it, they're flocking to it. So we appreciate that.
And enjoying it. Yes.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate that very much. That will help us. Now, today we're talking with Workpower, and they've been on a number of times over the last year or two. They go under a few different monikers. There's Kidpower and there's one other one I'm not thinking of right now. But this is an initiative that they've been working on for months and months. I think they've taken what it's about is for people with a disability in the workplace, and just some strategies on how to communicate with your employer or employer strategies that how you can talk and address your employees with disabilities. So there's a positive outcome for both, right? Is that,
yes. Yeah. No, totally. A really good resource for kind of bridging the gap of uncomfort and giving plenty of scenarios in which how both sides can okay, it's a delicate topic. Let's just put it that way, like because of laws or because of just personal relationships or neurological differences that make things understood in different ways. So this is a really great resource in which they give examples, real life examples and scenarios of things that may happen and how to handle them in the most graceful way with the best resolve for all.
So with each topic, they kind of show, don't do it this way. Here's the wrong way.
Here's the bad way. Don't do that.
And here's a
try this instead.
Better way. And like I say, they've been working on this for months. So they kind of picked the topics, then they came up and actually recorded the sessions, and then went back, reviewed them, critiqued them, made improvements, and like I say, so this has been a months long.
This is a baby. This is a baby.
So,
and it was cool for us because in the interview, we get to re-interview a bunch of people we've interviewed in their own individual stories or whatever. And we've known them to be talented and articulate about how they tell their own story and things. So now to think that they're even being braver to go on and create a resource that can be used later and viewed over and over and shared and all these things, right? So they are using the power of lived experience to educate, and that's super cool.
Yeah, and you're going to recognize a few people in this and meet some new ones. And the other thing is this isn't just for people with a disability. If you're an employer, it's free, no charge for it. It's a great response for you to share, with your managers and things like that, just how to deal with any delicate situation. There's examples of some language. There's this is something that Workpower is very big on, is role playing and kind of practicing what you learned before you actually get into a situation. So there's a little bit of that muscle memory as you go in there and how to do it. And, so all right, that is today's show. So we'll get to that episode in just a moment, but first this word from Ugyar Professional Training.
At Ugyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. UGYAR is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with UGYAR professional training and witness the growth of your business.
From the UGYAR Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
The morning light spills across the floor. I take a deep breath and think about what's ahead. Most days I'm moving without a hitch. Sometimes my body taps me on the shoulder and says, slow it down for a while. The day is mine. I've got people I love and people who love me back. I get to chase what matters and laugh until I can't breathe. Some days I pause, but I never stop. Life rolls on and I'm rolling with it.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live. I am Doug Vincent. My host, Addie, is here. How you doing, Addie?
Woohoo!
All
You
right.
didn't call me a co-host. I'm a host today. Yes!
Getting a promotion with that. You get that put on your business card. So,
Yeah, they all heard it. No takebacks.
So today we have got a number of people with us. Generally, it's me, Addie, and a guest, maybe two guests, but I think we're like 4 or 5 strong here today. And the reason being, it is in October. It is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And so we've got our friends from Workpower, Safety Power, Kidpower. They go by a number of different monikers. Marilyn is back with us today. She's been on a previous show. And I just, if you could kind of give us just a brief overview of what that all is about.
Absolutely. So first, my name is Marilyn. I also have a disability, a partial hearing loss disability, and I'm part of the Workpower Leadership team. And Workpower communications, leadership and communication strategies for employers is our one of the things we'll be talking about today. Is 2 programs that are provided to people for free, so that they can support their skill building, communication and skill building skills in the workplace, both for leaders in the workplace and for workers in the workplace. So Workpower for workers, and Workpower, we shorten it to Workpower Strategies for employers, for supervisors, managers, team leaders, anybody who's in a leadership role in their place of business.
Yeah. So we'll definitely leave links for you to find all the information that we're going to be talking about today. And like Marilyn says, it's all free. Great information. You know, we've had them on before, and practical information, and also the methods by which you guys go to share it with everybody. You know, why
don't I share the link right now so people can find us?
Yeah, if you want to start
Safetypowers.org is the simplest way to find a lot of our programs that are for adults, and you'll find Workpower and Workpower Strategies for Employers on that page. Yeah. So safetypowers.org.
They do a great.
And I have to say, all of this is going to be available for free to everybody, thanks to the funding that we're getting from Ability Central, which is our amazing funder.
Excellent. Yeah, there's you guys do such a great job of identifying different issues and then helping with strategies on how to address those issues, and then practice, actual practice with ambassadors and the people with the organization that help people practice it. So when they get into a situation, they've had a little practice to go, and then they start to incorporate that, I think, in just the way they live their lives. It just becomes kind of second nature, right?
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Skill building is basically all that we're about.
Excellent. So let's meet everybody else. We have Angel, Brandi, Linda, Neshama are also with us. So let's start with Angel, if you'd like to introduce yourself first.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Angel. I'm blind, And so what are some of my passions? My biggest passion is music. Working on getting into the music industry. Um, and yeah.
Amazing.
Very good. And Brandi, you're next.
Hey, my name is Brandi. I have a rare nerve disease. I am hard of hearing. I have learning disabilities, and fibromyalgia. And my biggest passion is teaching art and working on my art business.
Very
Amazing.
good. Thank you. Linda.
Yes. Hi. I am also blind with retinitis pigmentosa. I do still have some light vision and dark, but other than that, I don't really see anything. So I just say blind because it's not really functional. And as far as biggest passions, I'm going to pass. I don't.
And that's
really
fine
have
too.
one.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And then Neshama.
Hi. I'm Neshama. I am autistic. I have panic disorder and I have sensory processing disorder. And if we're talking about passions, I have to say I kind of have to split it down the middle here. I have two great passions. The first of that being disability awareness advocacy, and the second being work with animals, work in the shelter setting, rescue work.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm gonna kind of read an introduction. I don't normally read stuff, but I'm going to read this just to make sure I get all the points that I want to get in, and then we'll kind of get into the questions and learn more about the new features that Workpower has to offer. So October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. People with disabilities are, as a group, underemployed and often face challenges even getting chosen for an interview. And I imagine we could probably spend some time talking about some of the barriers. Nowadays they put up so many barriers for everybody. And one of those things is you can't walk into a place of employment, ask for an application, and then take it and fill out the application, bring it back. Everything's computerized. So I'm not sure exactly how that affects everybody, but, especially people with disabilities, but I'm sure we could do a whole show on that. Many people are working hard to change all of that, including the Workpower team, which focuses on workplace success for all with and without disabilities. You can see more about them at safetypowers.org. They are part of Kidpower International. The Workpower team has just launched a new free online resource called Workpower Leadership and Communication Strategies for Employers, thanks to the support of Ability Central. Today, we're pleased to welcome Workpower leaders to talk about workplace challenges and how this resource is designed to help employers strengthen communication and leadership in practical, everyday ways. So members of the Workpower Advisory Council are here today, and they've been working on this project for, I don't even know, months, right?
Well, yes, we got funding from Ability Central that started in January. So yes, we've been running strong since then. We're very pleased to be able to launch this new resource.
Excellent. So
we field tested it, by the way. It's been field tested for a while.
Right. You're not just like, here, look what we did.
No.
Look
Good
what
luck.
I can do. For sure.
Yes, a lot of work has gone into this. I know they've asked me to review some of it, and hopefully I had some input that made a difference a little bit. So we appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Thank you. And let's start with Linda. Linda, I understand you bring years of work experience to your role on the Workpower team and that you're excited about this new resource. How have your experience informed your approach to Workpower for employers?
Well, I have many years I am a senior, so many years of experience through life, education, and employment. And, I've had experiences where everybody makes a mistake, right? We all make mistakes in our work and in our life. but my mistakes have been attributed to my disability. And I've had a lot of I've grown a lot because of those kinds of situations where, even being hired by a group where not everybody was on the same page, and a person literally got in trouble for hiring me. So it was it was interesting. They didn't know what to do with me as I was working for them. And so going through those types of experiences, they've really made me grow, and finding this Workpower wonderful situation has been amazing because not only am I valued for my skills, I'm learning more skills, and I'm helping other people too, which is what I like to do because, I've always been in helping professions. And so seeing the wonderful work that we're doing and being a part of it is just, if you want to say what my passion is, that would be it. I'm loving this.
There you go.
Good.
We found it. We circled back around. We pulled you. We pulled you. We pulled you.
You didn't want to ruin the scoop, I think, Linda.
So I imagine, Linda, you were invaluable in this whole process because at the beginning, you kind of had to identify issues to know what to work on with the Workpower for Employers programs. And what kinds of things did you identify through your experience?
Well, say in that situation where my mistake was attributed to my disability. Through the Workpower experience, I've discovered things like if an employer were to ask me questions about what had happened, just that much could have cleared it up. Whereas, in the situation, it was a very long, drawn-out process before I was able to overcome that particular situation. And, just a simple thing like asking questions when something comes up can make such a huge difference in the outcome. And, you can learn to grow from it instead of feeling disrespected and misunderstood.
Linda, do you want to give an example of one of the topics or the modules that are in the Workpower Strategies for Employers that speaks to what you just said?
Yes, I think it was the one about coming to work late.
Yeah, that's a great one. You want to say a little bit more about that one?
Sure. In the video, we have a person who is reliant on paratransit, and the boss is just livid because they're coming in late, coming in early, and it seems like they don't even want to have the job until the boss asks questions and the person explains how difficult it is to arrive somewhere at a specific time using paratransit. And the boss, the employer in this situation, just keeps talking to her until they find out exactly what's going on and how truly difficult it is. And then even though they don't come up with a complete answer in the video, it's the consideration, it's the realizing exactly how difficult life can be when you have a disability, and thinking and trying to figure out a plausible solution that will help everybody. Mm-hmm. So
looking for a win-win, basically, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and I think I remember back, Neshama and Brandi, from our conversation, even saying like the prejudgment that comes in when you're kind of going into a position or a job, where you're trying to, like, you almost have to prove your merit more vigorously, right? Because you're different. And so I'm sure, Neshama, are there things that you got to share about workplace issues as you're helping to develop that?
Well, the topics I personally have worked on, I feel really strongly actually tie into that idea of needing to prove yourself and prove your worth. Because the topics I've worked on specifically are our perceived disrespect module, in which I portray a worker with sensory differences who uses noise cancellation headphones as a sensory aid in the workplace. And initially, the boss does perceive this as disrespectful and sees this as this worker not wanting to work, not being interested or focused on their work until the employer starts asking questions and they start having a dialogue, and the employer learns that the headphones are actually a disability aid and help the worker function better in the workplace. And it creates a stronger connection, not just between the boss and the employee, but in later follow-up modules, we see that it's sort of created a connection between the employee and the workplace to be able to be open about that part of their disability and openly show it.
So, Neshama, can you
coming up with creative solutions? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Neshama, maybe you could talk a little bit about how the module is structured. So you see a scenario that may not be the best practice, and then it gives some solutions for the conversation to go forward on the employer side and also the employee side, right?
Yes. So all of our modules are structured very similarly, as in the first situation is almost always the worst situation. It's the situation that you don't want. It's where a boss comes to an employee and just says, "You're fired," without explanation. It's the worst outcome, where neither the boss or the employer are communicating. The second situation is where the employee really shines and shows their skills, and this one is focused on the employee advocating for themselves and their needs, but the employer may not always be open. The third situation, and most of our modules are split into 3 parts, is where the employer really shines and shows the skills that we are attempting to teach by being curious and asking questions to the employee. How can I help you? What can I do? Why is this happening? Help me understand so that I can help you. And I think that is the ultimate goal for all of us, is to reach that third stage where people aren't afraid to be curious, and they aren't afraid to be uncomfortable, because sometimes the answers, I think, can cause some discomfort when you're talking about disability, but ultimately stepping into that and accepting that you might not always have a solution, it's really important in bringing forth greater accommodation and awareness.
Yeah. Thank you. And Angel, is there maybe a specific issue that you've had where the strategies or the solutions that you found in Workpower for employers have helped you?
I think definitely, yeah, especially with school and stuff. I feel like with some of my teachers, a lot of these skills of like communication have really helped. Like me understand like how to communicate to my teachers in a respectful and in an understanding way, like how to best help me, and how to like help people like in general, as well, with like a disability similar to me or just in general.
And that bridges to relationships that where there's any kind of a power imbalance. Basically, we're talking student teacher, but also employee and supervisor, or
in
job
your own
coach
family.
if that is relevant.
Right.
Right?
Any position
Yeah.
of a mismatch of powers, right? And
Exactly.
the fact that
Yeah.
as humans, we typically err on the side of judgment versus understanding. And so this is kind of caressing people to be like, it's okay to start from understanding and never go to the judgment world. I think, Brandi, you and I remember in our conversation, we talked a lot about how, they see a certain thing, so they don't accept that it's anything other than what they see.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like with the different video modules, it kind of bridges things together and will help all employers, employees, and just kind of everyone from all areas have a better understanding and want to have open communication.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting listening to all of you chat about this process that you put these things together for Workpower for employers. It's the very same kind of collaboration that you're giving examples of in these modules. I mean, it sounds like putting this whole thing together was exactly using those strategies that you are putting in these modules to help other people kind of communicate with one another and have the most effective and positive outcome at the end. Am I on something there?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Honestly, like,
Absolutely.
So at the beginning, so at the beginning, when all of you were approached about working on this, was the first steps to kind of identify the different issues that you all had experienced in your workplace experiences? And
both personally and, just through, like, maybe this has happened to other people or maybe that has happened, but also through our own personal experiences. Yes.
Yeah.
And Angel, do you want to talk about also our listening sessions that we had with employers and people who support people in getting jobs in different kinds of organizations?
Yeah. It's funny. Actually, I was gonna say before. Funny that you say that, Doug, because when I actually came on to Workpower, and I volunteered to help record a couple of role plays. The role plays I recorded were actually, I believe, ideas that Linda had, and I was just the actor that like put them in place. But yeah, sorry, Marilyn, what was your question again?
What about the listening sessions that we had with employers and where we invited employers to come and talk to us? I believe you were there for that one. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't think I was actually.
Apologies. Neshama was. Thank you so much for Neshama for speaking up.
So we have had when the beta launched, I'm sure we've had many behind the scenes, but I had the honor to participate in a listening session where we had a large group of employers from various companies come in, watch some of the videos, and then give their opinions and their critique, and also ask questions about the process. And I found that to be very valuable because we actually had a lot of people bring up some very good points and a lot of topics they were interested in. And one of the main topics that got brought up, I think, was disclosure in the workplace, which is understandably a very complicated topic. And while we haven't, as of now, to my knowledge, made a video specifically targeting the topic of disclosure, in our role plays, it's really all about asking questions. So no one ever has to really technically disclose anything. It's just about being open and asking questions. These are skills that can be put in place not just in the workplace, but anywhere in everyday life.
And applicable to lots of situations beyond disclosure, just being supportive.
Many situations.
For sure.
And
nobody gets a manual. Nobody gets a manual for life. That's what we figured out, right? Doug and I talk about this all the time. So finally, there's a bit. Workpower is helping with a bit of a manual for those of us who stumble. Hey, at least there's like a cliff note.
Sorry.
And we've talked a lot about questions here, and I want to ask: are we talking employer or employee? Both?
Sometimes it's both.
Go ahead, Linda.
Sometimes people hide their disability because they're afraid that if somebody knew, they wouldn't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a fear we all have, no matter if we realize it or not sometimes. We feel like we have to work a little harder, keep our heads down, don't get noticed in that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Brandi participated in a role play with an employer where both people had a disability, but different kinds.
Yeah, interesting.
How was that?
You want to talk a little bit about that, Brandi?
Yes. You have to refresh me. Is that the one with
not following instructions topic where about the links being blue, not being blue?
Oh yes. You know what that I enjoyed being able to participate in that, and I think it will be helpful for not just employers but also employees, because I think both can relate. On one side, the employer is not understanding why a certain thing is not happening, and the employee is doing their best, but at the end of the day, it's what the employer wants isn't getting delivered. So being able to find that resolution and having it in a kind and respectful way, it makes a big difference. Yeah.
And in that role play, they also, to come back to what Neshama was saying about disclosure, there are moments where there are opportunities for disclosure. You want to talk a little bit about that and how that came, the difference between the different role plays, Brandi?
The disclosure, aspect, there is an opportunity where it was being noticed that there was quite a bit of a looking down, and it was coming on the one side, it was coming from an irritated rather point of view. Why are you constantly looking down? And it was relayed that the employee uses captions and is hard of hearing, and that was able to open up a dialogue. And it makes a difference, and it creates a dialogue and an opportunity in learning, and also trying to make things better along the way.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I enjoyed out of that conversation, and you'll get to see that employer speak to one of the things that they said they enjoyed in participating in this, is that playing the bad supervisor or bad boss, depending on how we refer, was them. I think 15, is what they said years ago, and that they shifted and learned and growed, and wish they had something like this earlier in their career to make it easier on everybody, including themselves. So it's
evolution.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, as I listen to this,
you're planting the seeds of evolution. You cannot force people to change, but you can give them the tools to change.
Now, as I listen to this, I feel like you found employers, and obviously just because they came to this project, they were self-aware enough to know that they could always, do better, right? It's part of their evolution. How do you reach? Yeah.
I was going to say, interestingly enough, sometimes they didn't even know how good they were.
well, and that's good. But what I'm wondering about is the true bosses who need a lot more work, who need a lot more evolution. How can you connect them with this resource? I'm just throwing that out there, but that's probably a tough ask. But
well, why don't I bridge that one, and then maybe Linda, you want to tag on to what I'm going to say in terms of, we believe that there's a lot of wonderful employers and workplace leaders out there. And at the same time, we know that sometimes people just don't have the skills, or they don't know how to bridge them into what they're doing in a way that's effective and quick, because they don't have a lot of time. They have to get some work done. Yeah. And so what we're hoping for in doing this is to give them these skills sooner in their journey as a leader, so that they can build those dream teams basically faster. And what we're hoping for as well is that this, for people who are already on that journey, have done the growth, it can help them train their new leaders earlier and sooner, and bridge them into these skills sooner in their journey as well. Do you want to add something to that, Linda?
Yes. We're as far as how to get it to people who may need it, we're doing some outreach now. We're going through a lot of service clubs and Chamber of Commerce in different areas, and introducing the topic to them, offering them, even like we call them lunch and learns. And I guess a lot of people know what that is.
Yeah.
First time I'm hearing it. I love it.
You're throwing me back to my teacher days. We used to do lunch and learns once a month.
Yes. So, it's on Zoom, and we're offering this service where people can talk to us about maybe some issues, and maybe we can offer some help, or show them some of the videos and discuss different things with them. And, we're trying to get it out to as many employers as possible. And also, even some of the schools that have done some of the beta testing for us have said, oh, this is great. We can use this not only with, the employees here, we can use it for other students.
I mean, that would be tremendous.
Yes. So the outreach, I'm thinking that's going to be one of our best ways to get this out to the people who could use it the most.
I would have loved something like this. When I was first thrust into the position of managing people, my evolution was making horrible mistakes and trying to learn from them. After a while, I wanted just interviewing a potential employee. I wanted to go back and find those people and apologize to them, because I had no idea what to ask them, that kind of thing. So I'm sorry, Addie, go ahead.
No, Angel, can you tell us some of the things that people will learn about in these modules? Like what topics are covered? I mean, obviously we've talked about disclosure, we've talked about accommodations and things, but can you kind of give a light look over what the modules kind of cover?
I love the one you and I just worked on, Angel.
That one is a great one. So, one that me and Linda were both just a part of was where I was an employee who was who was the only one disabled out of the entire team of employees, and I was being overlooked and given very easy tasks, whereas everyone else got to choose and volunteer for whatever they wanted to do. Whereas the boss, aka Linda, assigned me very simple tasks. So that one showed an example of what a boss shouldn't do in that kind of situation, and as well showed how an employee could potentially advocate for themselves, which is what my character ended up doing, and as well another example of how a boss can instead handle that kind of situation and trust the fact that they have an employee who was hired because they're capable and because they know what they're doing. Some of our other ones kind of falls under the category of I guess accommodations, but another one that comes to mind that I really liked was a role play where a manager had to address an issue where one of his employees was hugging customers. Again, that one had a couple different scenes that showed like how a good way to handle it with great communication and great instruction, and also some scenes where where they did it in a very bad way that didn't help the employee at all. So yeah, those are some of the things that we teach in our role plays.
And that had practice in it too.
All of them have skill practices, at least modeling of the skill practices or prompting of how to do them as well. And there's 8 topics that we're going to be including in this launch month. So, and to add to Angel's topics so far, we've tried to frame them around common issues that supervisors or workplace leaders deal with in the workplace with their teams, like work not getting done or not following instructions. We already talked about arriving late. Assigning work is the one that Angel was referring to, about the team conversation. There's also inappropriate joking, which is one where Linda was also an actor in as well.
That one was a great one.
That's one of my favorites. I think it's a very, very nuanced.
Yes, it's one of the longer ones because it's such a delicate topic. Absolutely. You want to say more about that, Neshama?
I was the script writer for that series of role plays, and while most of our role plays generally have 3 parts, this one had 4 because Linda really thought it was very important for us to show a non-favorable outcome in this situation, an outcome where both sides just fail to reach each other. Actually, that's the first outcome. This was an outcome where the boss tries and the outcome still ends unfavorably. Yeah. And it was a difficult topic to work on because there were so many different threads to pull from and so many different areas we wanted to focus on. And ultimately, I think every role play that I've done a script for is like that, where there are so many threads and areas we could pull on and opportunities we could highlight, but ultimately we have to choose the strongest ones to showcase and to use as teaching opportunities. And one of the reasons I think this particular role play was so interesting was because not only was the employee disabled, the boss had the same disability. And so they were both coming at the situation from their personal lived experiences with disability, but their viewpoints were just not compatible.
And the topic itself can carry over to any kind of, inappropriate joking is not always necessarily about a disability. It can be about lots of different things. Yeah. But the reality of those conversations can be carried over in lots of different ways. So, and then there's another topic that hasn't been discussed yet. There's also in the works, the 8 topics is speaking up for safety or advocating for safety, which is also coming from an assistant coach to the head coach. So it's like in with a slight power difference, but still from a perspective of speaking up for safety in the workplace as well.
So in those situations where there was no resolution, do they at least find maybe some common ground? So
yes.
Yes. There's 4 in this role play. So at the very end, they do begin to understand each other and create a dialogue through the employer disclosing some personal information about what she's seen and heard in the workplace to the employee and showing how she's been advocating for her employees in her workplace, which leads the employee to sort of see both the situation and her boss in a new light. And even though their perspectives may still not align, they're able to come to a situation where there's a clear boundary and they both they both understand and are moving forward, upholding and respecting that boundary.
That's really important, right? To kind of be like, it doesn't have to be a present with a bow, but it has to be a present in some way, right? Like,
yes.
Have to get all the way there.
Yes, it was, I don't see eye to eye with you on this, but I understand your position and you're the boss, and I will do what you say I have to do because you're the boss.
And at the same time, still be able to do it in a way where you're building understanding with each other, which basically creates a better workplace relationship.
Yeah, it wasn't done in a nasty tone or anything like that. It was just, made known, yes, we still disagree about this, but I do now at least understand your point of view, and I will agree to abide by your boundaries.
Yeah.
Nice.
A tricky, like we said, it's a tricky topic, and it was worth including because it's part of the realities that we were told that lots of supervisors or workplace leaders have to deal with.
So I'm curious now, because we brought up that, like, Neshama, you wrote that one. You wrote the script for that one. How were the scripts, once you got kind of the topics through feedback or through the listening sessions or whatever, who was then in charge with writing the scripts that were then acted out?
Brandi, do you want to maybe we can hear from Brandi on that one, because I know you participated as well on some of those.
Oh, yes. So, there's one that I think is actually still in the works, but speaking up for accessibility. And doing the script building, it kind of comes from a couple different areas. Some might be our own experiences or, others' experiences, or because I think we touched on this earlier, or just kind of a topic in general. And, we'll figure a way as we're building the script to make it, work for each module. And so you have your three, or if it tends to be a longer one, and have your outcome for each one. Mm-hmm. And it always tends to it does start tend to start with the hardest encounter, but it progressively gets better, and you end up with tools that are helpful. And it doesn't have to just be in your work life, but it carries over in your everyday life. And there's so many times that I've used the things that I've learned from being a part of helping with script building and being a part of the different modules. It's been really, really helpful in my life.
Well, we're in October. It's National Disability Employment Awareness Month. That's why we're having Workpower on. Talk about their Workpower leadership and communication strategies for employers, thanks to the support of Ability Central. And it is free and accessible to everyone. What are some of the goals as we wind down here that you'd like, and what impact would you like to make on the workplace through this program?
I think, at least for me personally, a lot of the change that I hope it will happen is that employers will be more aware of, just what people, like I said, truly capable of, and that we are capable of working and contributing, that we're going to be able to pull our weight. And also as well, like we said, a lot of this is can be applied outside of work or school, anything. I feel like for me, as well, myself, watching some of these role plays that I haven't even been a part of have taught me some things and made me aware of some things about people that I didn't know about. So just generally, just showing people in general a point of view that they maybe didn't have before, showing them or teaching them about people with disabilities and giving them information and tools that they didn't have before to help them be more understanding and create better interactions with people.
Thank you, Angel. They are free. They are accessible. Where can we find them?
Type safetypowers.org and you will be able to go to the page right where you can go to Workpower Strategies for Employers. Right on that page. It's very convenient, and right in there you'll be able to enroll for free. You do have to give your email, but that's the only thing, your name and your email, so you can get in and watch the videos.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Well, I think we covered a lot of ground, but we've only scratched the surface, I think, on this whole topic. So yeah, go check out the modules and see for yourself and do it at lunch. And you can lunch and learn with Workpower. Exactly. So Angel, Brandi, Linda, Neshama, Marilyn, thank you so much for joining us here on Walk and Roll Live.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
That was my initial spark of hope. Like, okay, maybe this isn't completely going to be the end of my life. I had a little bit of hope, but I still was really down. I could not do anything for myself. You know, I was working on feeding myself, trying to push my chair, trying to drive, trying to go skiing. So like that just seemed outlandish and kind of crazy at that time.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live Disability Stories.
Absolutely. This is Walk and Roll Live. Another wonderful story this week. Addie, what's your take?
Now that everybody's sat through that, I think you see where our excitement is that there is this resource, right? Because a lot of times you end up in a pickle because you've never experienced it, or you didn't know your employee was different, or you just don't know how to handle it. Right now, there's this thing that you can go and educate yourself with. And you know what? I don't even think it's always even tied to work necessarily. Like, this is definitely zoned into work scenarios, right? But the world is so diverse now. It's free. Go online and watch some of them, and you'll get better skills about how to interact with people in the world. I think we've so much become like keyboard warriors who say whatever. This is something like where the internet is helpful. Please use it. Learn to take a little edge off of how you relate.
You know, and, as you're saying that, you know, it just dawned on me. The holidays are coming up. And people are going to be getting together that don't get together all the time and may be reluctant to get together because there's all those dynamics that go on in a family. This might help you there too.
Right. It has so many applications. And I mean, obviously people have put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. Yeah. They have, you know, done a lot to make this happen and to be free as well. Like, they worked very hard to make it a free resource. And so I think it behooves all of us to entertain it.
So this is a place where we usually kind of talk about resources and events on our events and resources pages. Nothing new. I don't think. There's a couple up there, some events that are here coming up in the next week or two. So check those out. If you have anything that you want to share, an organization that you are part of, a volunteer for, a participant in, let us know, and we'll add it to our events page, and we will put a link on there so people just can easily go right to it. So help us out that way and make that more robust for folks. And next week we have Jeff Mitchell, and he's going to talk about, you know, his whole journey with his injury and kind of his fight back, you know, because that's it. Everybody's got that moment that changes their life, and then and how do they get back? And these are great lessons on that. Again, I think we can all use in various ways. And
if you're listening and you have a story you'd like to share and you'd feel comfortable sharing it with us, I can guarantee that there are two people that would like to meet you and would like to hear your story. And even if you think, well, it's just me and I have nothing to give, look at how many people have gotten just from telling their story, or from someone hearing their story because you look a lot like me, or you look like my neighbor, so we'd love to have you come and sit with us. We don't bite.
We don't bite. Not at all.
I don't bite, only on days that end in Y, and good thing there's a Zoom. So, you know.
Well, have a good week. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich from the Aguiar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, the home of disability stories, life limitless.
Walk and roll live.